Piers, do you agree? Do you agree that Donald Trump is mad, nuts, deranged, and mentally unfit for office? Do you agree with that? Do you agree
Why
with that
do you do this? Why don't you just?
Do you agree he's mad?
Why don't you
nuts?
just say, Mehdi?
I mean, it's a simple question, Piers. People are watching. Do you agree that Donald Trump is mad, deranged,
it's not your show,
and unfit for office? Because those are your words, Piers. Those are your words.
When I come on your show,
your words.
When I come on your show, when I come on,
you call Donald Trump deranged, mad,
time out.
And nuts.
But one of the reasons Donald Trump got re-elected is that you guys have got literally Trump derangement syndrome. It plays into his hands. I prefer to be more even-handed with him. I prefer to praise him when he deserves it, and I prefer to whack him when he doesn't.
You have TDS, Piers. You have Trump denial syndrome. When I say to you, is Trump racist? You say, no, he's not racist, even though he calls Somalis low IQ, Piers. Do you agree that Somali people are low IQ? Is that not the most racist thing?
Just to explain, Mehdi, just to explain.
You're dodging me.
This is not your show.
Do you think Somalis are low IQ, Piers?
This is not your show, Mehdi.
Do you think Somalis are low IQ?
You don't get to interview me for half an hour. It's not your show.
Welcome back to Floor Leader Insider. If you want to see what happens when a professional, both sides performer gets cornered by a journalist who actually keeps receipts, you are in the right place. In this clip, we are watching Mehdi Hasan go onto Piers Morgan's show and turn the entire interview upside down. Piers tries to use his usual trick, playing an awkward clip of AOC to claim she's unfit for office. But Mehdi doesn't let him play that game. He immediately pivots to Donald Trump's actual policy on Taiwan, which involves checking with the Chinese president before selling arms. The most insider part of this exchange is when Mehdi exposes the massive double standard. Piers calls criticism of Trump derangement, but Mehdi fires back with a much better name for it: Trump denial syndrome. He reminds Piers, and all of us, that Piers himself called Trump mad and unfit back in January 2021, only to walk it back once Trump got back into power. Watch how Mehdi refuses to let Piers hide behind vague words. When he asks a simple yes or no question about whether calling Somali people low IQ is racist, Piers completely falls apart. This isn't just a debate, it's a total takedown of the media figures who protect power instead of telling the truth.
Oh my God. Piers, you, in January 2021, accused him of trying to stay in office. You said he sent an armed mob to the Capitol. You said he should be removed from office, never be president again. You changed your tune once he got back to the presidency. I get that. That's fine.
No.
I've been right about everything I've said about Trump. And as for being Trump derangement syndrome, it's the very opposite.
It's interesting because let's assume a scenario here which plays out. I said on my show on Monday, we were talking about the polling for Trump and the midterms coming up pretty soon now, right? We're nearly in March. You've got midterms in November. It is highly likely, the way things are looking, that the Republicans will get a big beating in the midterms unless something extraordinary happens, which it might. But if they do and they lose control of the House, then any president in that position pretty much becomes a lame duck president. And if that happens, it's a free-for-all for what happens next, both amongst his own party and, of course, the Democrats. The Democrats don't really have yet, to me, anyone clearly coming through in the way that Bill Clinton did or Barack Obama did, which is a massive problem for the party. One of their leading lights is Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. And I watched this clip of her. She went down to the Munich conference, I think to sort of show her global, aspirations and how smart she was and so on, and ended up getting pretty well ridiculed for a few things, but one of which was her explanation when she was asked by a friend of mine, actually, would and should the US commit troops to defend Taiwan if China were to move? And she said this.
Would and should the US actually commit US troops to defend Taiwan if China were to move?
I think that this is such a, I think that this is of course a very long-standing policy of the United States. And I think what we are hoping for is that we want to make sure that we never get to that point. And we want to make sure that we are moving in all of our economic, research and our global positions to avoid any such confrontation and for that question to even arise.
Now, if Donald Trump had come out with that, you'd have gone, what the fuck is he talking about? That is a load of gibberish word salad nonsense. So in the cause of intellectual honesty, Mehdi Hasan, would you say that what we just heard was a load of gibberish word salad nonsense?
No, I think what we heard was not her finest hour in terms of articulating an answer on a very complicated subject. I was awkward watching that. It's obviously not great to and ah for 20 seconds. I wrote a book about public speaking. You know that I've addressed these issues and people who do public speaking. It wasn't a great moment for her, but the idea that that summed up her presence at Munich is actually what I would question the premise of your entire discussion. You just played a clip from an account. I noticed where you played it from. It's a well-known right-wing MAGA Twitter account. The right are very good, Piers, aided and abetted sometimes by your good self, in pushing narratives about Democratic politicians to brand them.
Why does it matter where it came from?
2000, they did it to... It does, because, for example, she gave fantastic answers on inequality, on Gaza, on authoritarianism. She spoke to a packed crowd in Berlin the next day. She met with the SPD. She met with the far left. No one mentions any of that. Instead, everyone in the US media is talking about this because the right wants you to talk about this. That's my first point, that this is a very manufactured narrative. And number two, it's not at all equivalent to Trump, Piers. Trump could never say even half of what she said about Taiwan. Her answer, actually, at the end, which is we shouldn't get to that point, is actually the right answer. When Trump, I checked, because I knew you were going to ask me about this, I checked before I came on air. Trump was asked about Taiwan a few months ago, and he couldn't answer the question. He said, it's a secret. I can't tell you what my position is. Well, that's much better. In fact, this week, Piers, forget rhetoric. Do you know what Trump said about Taiwan? He told reporters on Monday that he's checking with the Chinese president before he sells arms to Taiwan. That goes against a 42-year long-standing US policy on Taiwan that Ronald Reagan set up. Not me, Ronald Reagan set up. So you can go on about AOC's 20-second umming and ahhing, which wasn't great for AOC, I admit. Or we could talk about the fact that Donald Trump has a very bad policy on Taiwan that goes against US traditional national security policy. And we could talk about the fact that Donald Trump's sentences make AOC look like the most eloquent woman in history. What are you talking about? Have you heard Donald Trump rant about shark attacks, about the size of Arnold Palmer's penis, about toilet flushing? AOC's never said anything like that. Donald Trump, hold on, I haven't finished. Donald Trump went to Davos, Piers. Did you play the clip? Did you play the clip, in the interest of fairness and intellectual honesty, to quote you, did you play the clip of Donald Trump in Davos calling Greenland Iceland again and again and again? He went to Davos and embarrassed himself, calling it Iceland. And by the way, worse than calling it Iceland, he wants to invade Greenland. No Democrat has ever suggested anything as mad as going to war with Denmark as Donald Trump. So please don't come here and talk about gibberish and intellectual honesty. Your pal is the most deranged person to ever get close to any top office anywhere in the West.
Do you know what? I haven't heard such a strident piece of apology since Comical Ali in the Iraq War, when he was trying to explain why the Americans
everything I said was true, and you can't dispute a word of it. Did you play Donald Trump's clip at Davos? Did you play on this show?
The Americans are not
on this show.
Let me answer.
Did you play a clip of your pal Donald Trump saying Greenland is Iceland? Yes or no?
Mehdi, yes, multiple times. And more than that, I interviewed the Prime Minister. Wait a minute. Yes, and more than that, I interviewed the Prime Minister of Greenland as well. Did you?
So what's that got to do with anything?
What's the matter with you?
You have run cover for Donald Trump. Piers, do you agree? Do you agree that Donald Trump is mad, nuts, deranged, and mentally unfit for office? Do you agree with that? Do you agree with that or not?
Why do you do this? Why don't you just...
Do you agree he's mad,
why don't you
nuts?
just say, Mehdi?
I mean, it's a simple question, Piers. People are watching. Do you agree that Donald Trump is mad, deranged,
it's not your show,
unfit for office? Because those are your words, Piers. Those are your words.
When I come on your show,
your words.
When I come on your show, when I come on,
you call Donald Trump deranged, mad,
and
nuts.
When I know, and occasionally I think he is those things. And as you know, I've said it when I think he is, and when I think he deserves praise, I give him praise. My point is, though, that you're
overall you accept
blinkered about AOC. No, I think sometimes he's perfectly normal and lucid. Sometimes he does nutty things.
Most of the time. Come on, Piers. This is a man who rants about shark attacks, who talked about Arnold Palmer's penis at a rally, who did an impression of someone doing oral sex on a microphone at a rally. There's been no president like this. I hate George W. Bush, but I would put George Bush 100 times above Donald Trump in terms of intellectual and mental fitness for office. You cannot question any Democrat's intellectual fitness for office when you have supported this man, the most deranged man, your words, deranged, mad, nuts man, in office.
Just to be clear,
this is a man who couldn't find
problem.
Taiwan on a map if his life depended on it.
Mehdi, here's the problem. I'm afraid, listen, you know I like you, I respect you very much. You've built an amazing business with Zeteo. Congratulations. But one of the reasons Donald Trump got re-elected is that you guys have got literally Trump derangement syndrome. It plays into his hands. I prefer to be more even-handed with him. I prefer to praise him when he deserves it, and I prefer to whack him when he doesn't. When you're so blindly enraged by everything, including silly jokes he says, you're so deranged about it, actually in the end, you managed to achieve the unthinkable. You managed to help get Trump re-elected.
Hold on.
He got re-elected with a bigger majority.
Do I get to speak? So, hold on. Let's just deal with a couple of things. The reason he got re-elected, I would argue, is the media gave him a pass. People like you, I came on your show on the eve of his election, and you were telling me all sorts of things. Oh, don't call him a Nazi. Don't call him a fascist. Meanwhile, we have masked thugs pulling American citizens off the street.
He's not a Nazi.
In cold blood.
He's not a Nazi.
I was right about his fascism. You were wrong about his fascism. I was right that he would try and stay in office in 2021. You were wrong about that. His people are shooting Americans.
He didn't stay in office in 2021.
Everything that I said would happen in a second term.
He didn't stay in office.
Piers, and you said he was
he's not a Nazi, and he's not a fascist.
Oh, my God. Piers, you, in January 2021, accused him of trying to stay in office. You said he sent an armed mob to the Capitol. You said he should be removed from office, never be president again. You changed your tune once he got back to the presidency. I get that. That's fine.
No.
I've been right about everything I've said about Trump. And as for being Trump derangement syndrome, it's the very opposite. Even I didn't think he'd be trying to start a war with Denmark. Even I didn't think he'd be shooting Americans in the street 14 months into his presidency. Even I didn't think he'd be this corrupt on this level so openly. So, in fact, he's been much worse than those of us who allegedly have TDSs. You have TDS, Piers. You have Trump denial syndrome. When I say to you, is Trump racist? You say, no, he's not racist, even though he calls Somalis low IQ, Piers. Do you agree that Somali people are low IQ? Is that not the most racist thing?
Just to explain, Mehdi, just to explain.
You're dodging me.
This is not your show.
Do you think Somalis are low IQ, Piers?
This is not your show, Mehdi.
Do you think Somalis are low IQ?
You don't get to interview me for half an hour. It's not your show.
I think people are worried about your silence.
When I come on your show, I haven't been silent about any of these things. You should watch my show more.
Trump calls Somalis low IQ. Is that not a Nazi thing to say? Is that okay? I'm not asking you a question.
It's not a Nazi thing to say. No.
I think
it's not a Nazi thing to say.
It is white supremacist rhetoric
to
call black people garbage and low IQ.
The problem is,
it's amazing that you're defending.
Okay, Mehdi,
amazing.
Let's not talk at the same time. No, here's what I'm defending. When people like you on left keep calling Trump a Nazi or comparing him to Adolf Hitler, that is exactly what I'm talking about Trump derangement syndrome. It is so ridiculous, so offensive, so inaccurate. Adolf Hitler and the Nazis murdered 12 million people, including 6 million Jews in a Holocaust.
What we just saw is the definitive end of the both sides era of political media. Mehdi Hasan didn't just win a debate, he exposed the entire architecture of how figures like Piers Morgan operate. They build a brand on being the reasonable centrist who whacks both sides, but as soon as they are asked a direct, factual question about a powerful figure, the entire performance collapses into procedural whining. The floor leader insider take is this: the media is suffering from a massive case of Trump denial syndrome. This isn't about being obsessed with a politician, it's about having a memory that lasts longer than a news cycle. Piers Morgan sat there and accused Mehdi of being deranged, yet Mehdi walked in with the receipts of Piers's own words from January 2021. Back then, Piers called Trump mad, nuts, and unfit for office after the Capitol was attacked. The only thing that changed between then and now isn't Trump's behavior, it's that Trump got back into power and Piers adjusted his morals to keep his access. The most damning part of this entire exchange is the Somali low IQ comment. When Mehdi asks the simplest question imaginable, is it racist to call an entire group of people low IQ? Piers Morgan, a man who gets paid millions of dollars to give his opinion, suddenly forgot how to speak. He called it abhorrent, he called it absurd, but he physically could not say the word racist. Why? Because saying the truth about Donald Trump is the bridge too far for the access-hungry media. They would rather attack AOC for a 20-second stutter than hold a former president accountable for using white supremacist rhetoric. Mehdi was 100% right. The reason we are in this mess isn't because of liberal bias. It's because the media gave a pass to fascism. They normalized the ranting about shark attacks, the Arnold Palmer comments, and the threats against allies like Denmark as just Trump being Trump. By treating a mad king like a normal politician, they didn't provide balance, they provided cover. This is why Floor Leader Insider exists. We don't do the both sides circus. We call out the opportunism, we name the racism, and we don't walk back our positions just because the political winds shift. Journalism is about the truth, not about protecting your seat at the table. If you were tired of the media playing games and you want the raw, unfiltered truth, make sure to like this video and subscribe to Floor Leader Insider. We don't have denial syndrome here. We have the facts. See you in the next one.